Now that we are done with all the tiles and assets, there is one last thing we need before moving on to make the background and to assemble the mockup, and that is the characters. I believe that having characters on the mockup will go a long way to sell the illusion of being a screenshot of a real game. So in the next few lessons we are gonna make a Goomba enemy clone, a piranha plant clone, and the playable character that is not a clone and is completely original, Marlo the Plumber. But before we begin, I want to give you a couple of quick warnings about the way we are gonna work. First, now that we are dealing with more complex and time-consuming illustrations, I'm gonna speed up the pace a bit and assume that you are pretty familiar with all the tools and techniques that we are using. I won't be using anything that I haven't shown you before, so if you have trouble following what I'm doing, rewatch a couple of the older lessons, especially the techniques lesson. And second, this course is not about character creation, and certainly it's not about character creation for games. These characters that we are gonna be making are basically a quick sketch and are not designed in any way for an actual game. If you want to create characters for your own game, you probably are gonna have to have in consideration things like the gameplay or the animations or the engine that you're using. The characters that you're gonna see here are more of a demonstration for the sake of a more complete mockup. However, I believe that there is value in making these characters if you are willing to research more about design and animation and all that. Then you're gonna be able to use everything you learn here. Great, with that out of the way, let's start with the easiest character, the Goomba clone. Again, we are gonna use the grid as a way to guide ourselves. Let's start with the main part of this mushroom with feet, the cap. So grab the Ellipse Tool and draw an ellipse the size of a single tile. It does not need to snap, just eyeball it. We are using the grid as a rough guide. Now let's edit the shape with the Node tool, so go to Path, Object to Path, to get the nodes. Now grab the lower node and move it up till it goes just past the middle point of the tile. Here you can just adjust the nodes to get the exact shape of the cap you want. As far as color, I'm just giving it this orange, but you can give it the color you want. Now let's make the stem. Just use the pen to create this square looking shape. Make the sides a bit bent so they look a bit more organic. And give it an almost white orange. Just crank up the L slider while selecting an orange hue. To me this looks way more pleasant than a grey-white. Now make the back side of the cap. Just use the pen tool and follow the shape of the cap. A light orange will do. Something in between the cap and the stem color. Now for the feet. I want to create these comically big feet. And for that, grab the pen tool and create this rectangular shape. This is gonna be one feet. Now select the top left node and set it to smooth type with this button. And move and adjust this node so it feels like a shoe being looked from the side. Give it the orange color we've been using. Duplicate it to the side. We're gonna make the other feet. But I want to make it so this one is being looked from the front. This is super easy to make. Just grab the other node and set it to smooth as well and adjust the curvature. Okay, now for the last part of the character, the eyes. Grab the Ellipse tool and draw one elongated ellipse. Duplicate it to the side so it intersects with the other one. How much they intersect, it's up to you. But these are supposed to be the silhouette of the eyes. When you're done, perform a union to join both shapes, and here you can make some adjustments with the node and curves to make the whole shape more interesting. Put it in place and adjust the scale. You want the eyes to leave the silhouette of the cap for that extra comedic touch. Give it a whitish orange like the one you gave it to the stem. Now to create the pupils. These are just gonna be two perfect circles, maybe stretched down a bit. So with the ellipse, draw a circle, make it really small, and for color, just use a really dark orange. So it's a really dark brown. For the last face details, grab the pen tool and draw these two large rectangular eyebrows. Make them look angry. Don't worry if they are not perfect rectangles, they are supposed to be a bit uneven. Draw them so they are not exactly symmetrical. Give them an almost black-gray. And if you want, don't be afraid of adjusting the nodes in the eyes so they won't show through the eyebrows. And we are done with all the pieces of the character. But that doesn't mean that we are done with it quite yet. Like I said a minute ago, now we are working with more organic and complex constructions. Chances are that the shapes need a quick retouch to adjust and harmonize everything. This is especially important if you build a character by drawing all shapes by separate and then assembling them together, like we did. Now that you have the whole character built, you can see how all pieces fit together and make the right adjustments. Based on that, changing the proportions and scale of the different pieces, refine the individual shapes with the node tool, or, why not, remove or add a different shape altogether. After you're done with the finalizing the shapes phase, it's time to give it the outline and the shadows. We're gonna be using a single shadow and no highlight. The characters are already complex enough as they are, we don't need the extra complication. So for the shadows, this one is pretty similar to the shadows in the mushroom power-up. Just grab the pen tool and create a border below, this time a bit thinner than the one in the mushroom. And a shadow to the side. A nice thing I'm doing here is to round off a bit the joint between the two shadows to imply that the border is a bit rounded. Then you join them into a single shape using a union. Don't forget to give it a shadow color. Then a drop shadow on the stem. For the shoes, just a round shadow on the right side. And I want a drop shadow from the eyebrows to emphasize them. And that's it for the shadows. Now the character feels a lot more solid. As far as the outline, we want 3 different outlines. One in front for the 2 feet, one for the head, and one for the stem. So you know what to do. Duplicate the 2 feet, Join them, and make the shape into a thick, darker orange outline and send them below the feet but in front of the rest of the body. Then make the stem outline, follow the same steps, and send them below the stem but in front of the cap shapes. Finally end with the cap outline. This outline is going to have to cover not only the cap, but the eyes, eyebrow, and also the lower part of the cap. So in order to make an outline of that shape, you're going to have to select all those shapes, duplicate them, and perform a union. Now you can use this shape to make the outline. And we are done with our discount Goomba. Now let's move on to our discount piranha plant.